is Ted Berrigan. He's the author of So Going Around Cities, The Sonnets, Red Wagon, Nothing for You, and some more things for you. Where some only write the poem, Ted lives it. As he walks and talks, the breath of the poem shines forth. Where he goes, his head speaks and settles in its pose. The lines run down the beard. And so we live, walking, talking, breathing the poem to each other. Ted Berrigan.
That was very graceful. It didn't really explain how I got this reading. The truth is that I have about 20 books, and I also am a very good self-publicizer. And besides that, I know Kelly. And while I understand that his cover story is that he doesn't have anything to do with the readings, if he hated my work, I'm sure I wouldn't be reading here. And if I hated his works, I probably wouldn't be reading here either. I mean, but I find that he writes all the works that I don't, so between us, we have it covered. I have a book, which I brought with me to show that I have one, since I'm going to read all new things. In fact, I've even brought two with me. This is a book I published last year or the year before, called So Going Around Cities, and Paul Blackburn has one of his books is called Cities. And then what's Kelly's book? It's called something like Cities. Underground Cities, the Secret Cities, which is a really wonderful idea. My cities are the cities above the secret cities. It's a great color picture of me on it. I use it to cash checks. You know. And this book is new and selected poems 1958 to 1979. Tonight I'm going to read a lot of poems that I've been writing in the last 6 months or so. Let me see what month this is. Since the end of February. And they're all fairly short, but they're a different scale, so presumably that will make it not just a bunch of short poems. And I've been writing them on these postcards, which I had 500. And this is the postcard. It's a postcard by Ted Berrigan. I write on the picture side. I've been trying to get a poem every time. I don't, you know, I mean, but I've gotten a lot. You know. One of them have pictures, some of them have some of them have an abortive first effort taken off. You know. But you can all see the picture on that one. There's a fashion drawing. What I did is I got some artists I know to make some pictures here and there on them, so that in case I didn't have any subject matter, you know, I would have these postcards with pictures already on them. And I've written 483, and I've typed up about 300 of them. You know, well, I still have about over 200 of the typed up ones. When I finish, I expect to have about 150 poems I like, which is astonishing. I mean, that doesn't happen very often. I mean, because how many I like, you know. Well, I like all the ones that are good, and then there's some others I like too. Tonight I'm only going to read ones that are good, as it seems that one should do. But when I put a book together from them, I'll probably put in some that are not, in that sense, good, in that sense that they're fragments, but that they're alive. So I may put them in any way to have the sense of this being the fragments of speech that I was able to capture out of all the speech around me, by myself and by others, and remembered words, and I tried to make use of memory in something which I don't like to use in my poems. I try to never write about what already happened, but to write about what's happening while I'm writing it, and what it was that got me to, and then reach back to what it was that got me to the typewriter. And I might reach back as far as a loop, like out to the grocery store and back, or it's a common sort of Paul Blackburn, a common city poet device or Japanese poet device for taking a walk. But in this case, I had recourse to photographs. I have a lot of photographs, as anybody does my age, and my friends do, and I remember them. I didn't look at them particularly when they're engraved in my memory. So most of my references to past things, people, where there are bits of description, are actually the description of some photograph, or this reference to some photograph. You'll hear that kind of thing. They're all talk, though. There's a kind of music. And I've been interested in the sound, how things sound, how it sounds, how your voice sounds when you're the lover, and when you're the beloved, and when you're the angry one, and the wicked one, and not so much the wicked one, because I haven't been interested in much below the surface. I've been interested in what comes at you from the physical person across there from you. Whereas it doesn't matter what their motivation is, they've got an axe in their hand, or they're suddenly swishing in this way, and I mean, you better look out, or you're about to get broadsided, or that maybe that's all right, or whatever. And I was saying to Effie coming up on the train, when I find a voice that seems to be, say, the lover's voice, that is, it's authentic, it's sincere, it's that tone of voice. When you hear it, you can recognize it immediately. And you can recognize the basic sincerity of it, but since it's not coming at you, or it is coming at you, whatever, you're also looking at it as well as hearing it. And I've been interested in that, how things look through your ears. And now when I find something like that, I'll find it by getting to it in a poem, and I'll be doing some other poems and touching this or that, and then suddenly this poem will show up, and there it will be. And I might not catch it right away, so I write it down and look at it. But within 3 or 4 poems, that's it. I can't do anything more with it. I'm not about to explore it then and rehearse that role and go do that. I mean, that's it. I'm just interested in finding them all. And if I find them, I know they exist, which I already know anyway, except I don't know what I know till I find myself using it, and what I know I almost never use. So this is like city life in a room, and being middle-aged, my age, and, which simply means you're all the ages you ever felt that particular age. So sometimes some more advanced age than you really are. I mean, I'm a family man, and 2 families, right? And, with a dead mother and father. That has informed the poems. That's a fascinating place to be, where you don't have any mother. I mean, that's awful, but it certainly is a relief. I mean, but especially if it works out nicely enough for both you and your mother. I mean, when she died, she felt all right about that, and you learned how that happens, and you felt, I mean, I'm not interested in guilt or anything like that. Nothing. I mean, I'm not interested in anything. I'm only interested in words and how one's voice sounds, and that authentic ring. And I'm always very interested to see what it was I just said. And I write the poems and I look at them, and if they stand up and ring in this way, then I'm pleased. And if they just stand up and don't ring, I'm interested. If they stand up and then sort of fall down, I'm interested. They just have to stand up. And I keep them, you know. And if they don't ever stand up, I throw them back. But I know that I wrote that, so I might use some part of it. But I'm only interested in words and how things sound. And I don't know why you should be interested in what I'm interested in either, because what you'll have are these poems. I didn't think when I was writing them that I was writing short poems at all. I mean, sometimes I knew they were short. But as I have on occasion, and do still go for the short poem, I think I have one. I love that form. I wasn't doing that here. As far as I'm concerned, some of these poems are epic in scale and some are small. The way it might be to be in New York City if you're a grown-up, or in any place if you're a little kid. Things are big and things are small, and things move around. And sometimes it's a woman speaking and not me. And well, I have a woman in my house, I mean, and then there's my mother, I mean, and then I am a woman, you know, or whatever, but there's no games being played. I mean, that's what I heard. And one of the devices I use is storytelling. I never quite tell the story, but that was a story I see being made, so I let it get made. I let it take place. There's a lot of humor, but that's, as I was saying to Abe before I started, that's no, humor is appalling, you know. I mean, if you're married to someone who wakes up in the morning spouting one-liners and stuff, you know, I mean, it's truly horrifying. And I am that someone. So you this Irish guy, get up in the morning and say, well, there's my foot, high foot. And the person next to you says, oh, shut up. Where's the coffee? Why don't you learn how to make coffee? I said, I know how to make coffee. I'm just not going to make any. Because I don't make coffee. Then you see how that sounds. That sounds all right. If you can't put that in any poem because you'll sound horrible. I have a kind of order, and it fell apart, so I'm going to go with it anyway. And what I need is is a window open and about 5 napkins. Is there anything like that in this vicinity? Well, I mean, if everybody will promise not to act like they know what it is. All right, I'm going to read this one to get it out of the way, and then the next poem I read is what I was planning to start on. And I guess I should finally add that these poems are all experienced things. I'm not just talking. It's all experienced things. And if I say something, I'm very serious. I mean it. And I mean it to the extent that I think it's very important. Although, since I'm not in these poems, once I finish them, it doesn't matter what I think. I'm just up here reading. But I'm not saying something casual like, all my friends are sick this week or something like that. I'm making an observation about I mean, the speaker, who was quite often named I, was making an observation of the world about it. And those observations are meant to be somewhat a map of the space-time world the way it is now. Now, I'm not talking about any nuclear bombs or save the whales or kill the whales or anything, because that's being taken care of. He's a little left-handed. Those are more effective, but they make me nervous. So, and it is, lastly though, it's not me speaking. It's reading to you now in these poems. It is when they're in the first person, and many of them are. It's a character named I, and that's that person in that book that each little poem is. And you'll find out in the course of the poem who it is, and that's who it was. And as I was that person, so could you have been, or perhaps in some cases, so will you be. And so in that case, it might just be information, but these are poems, and I am only interested in form and aesthetics, and they're meant to work as poems and to be pretty or to be abrupt or to be whatever, but they're meant to be, each one is meant to be something that you can enjoy, that you can feel yourself turned on by. I mean, I take that as a minimum. I don't take it that my life is all that interesting. I take it that the poem has to be like a little piece of sculpture or a little tree or a bush or a bug on it or whatever. A city winter. My friends are crazy with grief and sorrows. Their children are born and their morning lies broken. And now it's afternoon. Okay, and this one I wrote before. This is one of the poems I wrote before I was writing an alias. I'm the only one in here like that I'm going to read. That led me into the kind of things I do here. This is called A Certain Slant of Sunlight. In Africa, the wine is cheap, and it is on St. Mark's Place, too, beneath a white moon. I'll go there tomorrow, dark bulk hooded against what is hurled down at me in my no hat, which is weather. The tall, pretty girl in the print dress, under the fur collar of her cloth coat, will be standing by the wire fence where the wild flowers grow not too tall. Her eyes will be deep brown, and her hair, styled 1941 American, will be too. But I'll be shattered by then. But now I'm not, and can also picture white clouds impossibly high in blue sky over small boy, heartbroken to be dressed in black knickers, black coat, white shirt, Buster Brown collar, flowing black bow tie, her hand lightly fallen on his shoulder, faded sunlight falling across the picture. Mother and son, 33 and 7, First Communion Day, 1941. I'll go out for a drink with one of my demons tonight. They are dry in Colorado 1980 spring snow. This is called Give Them Back Who Never Were. I am lonesome after mine own kind. The hussy Irish barmaid, the Yankee drunk who was once a horse cart doctor's son, and still is for that matter. The shining Catholic schoolboy face in serious glasses with proper trim of hair, bent over a text by Pere Vidal, and already you can see a rakish quality of intellect there. Geraldine Weicker, who played nurse in My Heart's in the Highlands on pills, and who eventually married whom? The fat kid from Oregon who grew up to be our only real poet, and the jaunty Jamaica Queen stick figure, ex-US Navy, former French Negro poet, to whom Frank O'Hara once wrote an ode, or meant to, before everything died. Fire Island, New York, summer 1966. That poem has a parallel in Francois Villon's poem, Villeneuve, what is it? No, not a Villeneuve, that's Pound's version, but it's Villon's famous poem which says, where have they gone, where are they now? Jacques the pickpocket, and Mary the whore, and Pierre the mugger. All my good drinking companions, where have they gone, where are they now, where are the snows of yesterday? And I didn't realize that when I was writing it, although I knew the first line, I'm lonesome after mine own kind, which in Villon was talking about low life, high-spirited people who laughed in the face of whatever way they were living. And in this poem, the person speaking is actually talking about I want company. I'm lonesome after company. And it's a passing feeling that you have all the time in your life. And, well, where are they now? Well, they're still here. I mean, they're still around. They haven't gone anywhere. But as we grow older, each one is living their own life, and you can't tap always onto the younger ones coming along or grab the tails of the old ones going out, and each person is alone. And that's an authentic feeling. And well, I was interested to see what I said, but I was also interested in seeing if I could sound like Jack Kerouac too. But I was primarily interested in seeing if what I could say after I said the hussy Irish barmaid, which had no reference whatsoever, and is not a picture, and yet is a picture. And then the fat kid from Oregon is Philip Whalen, and the Yankee drunk is Robert Creeley, who was not a drunk. I mean, but it was a nice way to think of him. I mean, since I've spent so many times with him, where he was that son of a bitch. I mean, you know, but I like the color of the phrasing. It doesn't matter. There are no secrets. It doesn't matter who the people are, as in this poem. With daring and strength, men like Pollock, de Kooning, Toby, Rothko, Smith, and Klein filled their work with the drama, anger, pain, and confusion of contemporary life, just like me. You don't have to be put off by what you read in high phone writing about what the heroes just ahead of you did. They just did what you do. As long as you're doing something. And so I tried an experiment. I didn't try it, I saw it, which is what happens with most of these poems. This is an elegy for someone who died named Frances. And shortly after she died. And it's a lot of lines that just break off. Frances, now that I, with you, since leaving, each day seems the night tired with languished suffering, while you nor I with that I feel. Okay, first, truth is that which, being so, does do its work. I said that. I'll run that through again. That's a fast one, and it's like seeing a fastball of the that's funny. A fastball of the type you've never quite seen before. It's like walking by Rockefeller Center when you're 19 and Radio City, in fact, when you're 19 and you're from Rhode Island and one of the Rockettes steps out on her way home. You just fall right down on the ground. You know? You've never seen anything like that before. It's Warren, I mean, carrying his purse. You know? Nobody ever told me about that. Or, you know, so. Also, though, any other kind of truth. Okay, first. Truth is that which, being so, does do its work. I said that. That poem cost considerable to write. I mean, it involved a considerable amount of experience, understanding that one did have to accept that when the barn door hit you in the face and knocked you down, that you had been knocked down. So you get up and run right into it again. But it's not that you don't know that it will knock you down again. It's just, and it's not that you don't care, but this is a translation from Heine. Every day, back and forth, the exquisite daughter of the Sultan walked at evening by the fountain where the white water splashes. Every day the young slave stood at evening by the fountain where the white water splashes. Every day he grew pale and paler. Then one evening the princess, turning, came up to him with these words, "Thy name will I know, thy country, thy kin." And the slave spoke, "I am called Mohammed. I am from Yemen, and my people are the Azra, who die when they love. Which just goes to show you that even a princess is not going to get her own way. I mean, you can have the last word. If you don't mind dying. There's no place to go, my heart, for all your 100,000 words. That's a sort of fragment of a Turkish love poem. And there's something in that. I think there's something in that whole area there, the Middle Eastern area, the Turks and those people that go back and they have these long curved swords. And they can actually say, I have this Turkish friend, and he can actually say, my heart, you know, oh my heart, why have you caused me to bump my head on this door when I only wanted to be in love with the barmaid? Anselm Hall specializes in that kind of beautiful poem. There's a lot of reference in here to these poems, to famous poems, also to kinds of poetry, to popular, to songs, to popular music songs of every kind from the last 30 years and everything else. And anything you hear that's a familiar reference is there, no doubt. And generally I know it's there. And there's also a lot of, the rhythms are generally musical and easy, but they never go on too long, and then they pick up another one. Let no willful fate misunderstand. When I see birches, I think of my father, and I can see him. He had a pair of black shoes and a pair of brown shoes bought when he was young and prosperous. And he polished those shoes too, man. Earth's the right place for love, he used to say. It's no help, but it's better than nothing. We are flesh of our flesh, O blood of my blood, and we have a night tie all our own, and all day and all night it is dreaming, unaware that for all its blood, time is the sandpaper, that the rock can be broken, that distance is like treason, something there is that doesn't love a wall. I am that something. That's a displacement from a quarrel with one's mate, in which one goes out the back door and comes in the front whistling Dixie, you know, and saying, let me tell you about William and Aram Saroyan, you know. That they liked each other too, about the way I like you, you know. So take this hammer and carry it to the mountain on your, stuck right into your head, you know. Warrior, warrior. I watch the road. I am a lineman for the county. City streets await me under lustrous purple skies, purple light each night. Manhattan is a needle in the wall. While it's true the personal, instant myth music cuts a little close to the bone, and I have to get up early for work tomorrow. Still, there's lots of quail in Verona, and I am jubilant with horror because I'm searching for pain underneath another overload. I hear you singing in the wires. Yeah, that's a reaching out for another. That's an extension of the hand to another. That poem is dedicated to a person named Jeff Wright, and the dedication obviously is a part of the poem. I should have read it. Jeff Wright, his name is, yeah. It's another male, you know, I mean, it's like, it's a sort of erroneous illusion that one is not, illusion to the fact that one is not really alone, because one really is alone, but there are the wires. And then there's Glenn Campbell. And then there's Yellow Man, who is someone else. And this poem is called To Sing the Song That Is Fantastic. Christmas in July, or now in November in Montreal, where the schools are closed and the cinnamon girls sing in the sunshine, just like Yellow Man. The soldiers shoot the old woman down. They shoot the girl child on the ground. We steal and sell the M16s, use the money to buy the weed. The sky is blue and the Erie is clean. Come to us with your M16. Soldier, sailor, policeman, chief, your day is here and you have come to grief. Sing the songs and smoke the weed. The children play and the wind is green. I haven't inquired of myself too closely what is the meaning of that, of all that, except that I hear the other man's music and I like the sound, and it's a savage, gleeful, vicious, happy, joyful, murderous music, and I embrace it and what it seems to say. It's dancing on the grave of the not dead yet, you know. And I do know what the wind is green. It means it's spring. It's Chris Connor, you know. The wind is green. Assuming you all know what a utopia is, let me remind you that a utopia is a made-up society by anyone, you know, saying this is my picture of the ideal society. And there's a lot of talk of that these days. You know. In hippie days, it used to be like, if only it weren't like that, it could be, you know, it could be so beautiful. Well, now we've come to the time when people are willing to elaborate on this. And the first thing you hear, though, is like, well, when we, you know, it's like when we take over, I mean, you know, over here we'll have a dungeon, and we'll put the bad guys in, and we'll be nice to the old, you know. And I start getting the shivers, and thinking, wait a minute, and now, and you will decide who is old, you know, and you will decide who is bad guys, and you will be the bad guys, and you can, you know, and this is a direct response to a lot of things I hear from good friends too, and this is also a poem about being a witness, because I have a sense that that's what a poet is. You sing your songs, but that's what you do. You know, you're a witness. I need a witness. I'm a witness. It's like someone saying, you say something, or someone says something, and another person says, I hear it. I saw it. I see it. And that's all you can do, and that's about all the effectiveness you have against the iron shackles of control. You know, I see it. I see it. You know, this man is honorable. I see it. You know, this man is brave. There he goes, down the drain. I saw it though. This is called In Your Fucking Utopias. Let the heart of the young exile the heart of the old. Let the heart of the old stand exiled from the heart of the young. Let other people die. Let death be inaugurated. Let there be plenty money. And let the Darktown strutters pay their way in to the Gandhi dancers' ball. But woe unto you, O ye lawyers, because I'll be there, and I'll be there. Human senses will never go away. You know. It is a human universe, right? And so let the bastards do what they want. I mean, someone will see them. You know, don't do that because your daddy will see you, your mommy will see you, and your brothers and sisters will see you, and the other guy will see you. You know, I'm the other guy. I mean, or anybody, any eye can be. I'll see you. Go ahead, you know, mug the neighbor, take the money, be the stupid neighbor. You know, be stupid and get mugged because you're waving your money around. As long as you say I was stupid. As soon as you start to say, they took my money, you say, no, ain't no they. It was that guy. I saw him, he had a green shirt on. Here he is. you know, I mean, it's like, wait a minute, I don't have it, it's another green shirt. You know, say, right. I saw him. He was 7 feet tall, and he had the giant fangs coming out of here. He was, whoa, it's from Mars. I saw him. But I was there. You know, I mean, I walk through the city. I'm there. I see the dog biting a woman. I say, "Hi, dog." The dog says, "Hi, Ted," and forgets to bite the woman. The woman runs in the house. So another good deed. You know. Yeah, right. I mean, that is the point. I say, "Hi, dog." Dog says, "Hi." He doesn't know what he said hi to the dog in a long time. And I do say, "Hi, dog." Why not? I mean, dog says, "I'm going to bite you." I say, "That wasn't me that said hi. That was that woman." Bite her again. This is a little early for this. I'll replace it with this magic. What you have to do to be a good poet is to know how to work your folders. You know, you laugh at it, you don't know how to work. I went to a Jack Kerouac festival this year, and I was getting ready to go to. I thought I'd read all Jack's books so that I could be the great living expert while I was there. And anybody say anything, I'd say, "Yeah, I read that on page 38." But I never could remember where I read anything anyway. You know? But while I was doing it, I just saw these passages that I saw this one, and it just stood out all by itself. It was just a poem, you know. I said, "Well, I better take that because Jack." It's just a great thing on page X of Jack's book, but taken by itself, it's a really great little poem too. And all those that see that I took it from Jack will get an extra bonus of knowing where I got it, but they'll still have to understand that I saw it, just like I saw the dog. But so that they can see it, like anybody can see it. I am shameless. I don't really care where I get anything to write down. This is called 13, after Jack Kerouac. Oh, Will Hubbard in the night, a great writer today he is. He is a shadow hovering over Western literature, and no great writer ever lived without that soft and tender curiosity verging on maternal care about what others say and think and say. No great writer ever packed off from this scene on earth without amazement, like the amazement he felt because I was myself. That's a very beautiful thing to say about another writer, or another person. I mean, there's nothing worse than meeting somebody who is not you, you know, but themselves. The School Windows song. When I guess I was looking through an old anthology to see what I'd been reading in college and liking. Instead of finding that, I found this poem by Rachel Lindsay called The Factory Windows Song. And it charmed me with its ending. I also thought that there was some tinkly music in it that it would be fun to see if it applied to anything right now. I wrote this poem called The School Windows Song after Rachel Lindsay. High school windows are always broken. Somebody's always throwing rocks. Somebody always throws a stone, playing ugly, playing tricks. Junior high windows are always broken, too. There are plenty of other windows that never get broken. No one's going into Midtown and throwing rocks at and through big Midtown store windows. Even the grade school windows are always broken, where the little kids go to school. Something is already long past terribly wrong. End of the public school windows song. Yeah, the music still goes, you know, and the music doesn't, well, the music changes in this way that makes it still be the same. And then I was thinking, well, there are more forms, there are myriad forms for everything. There are more forms of human beast than men and women. And Anne Waldman once used to refer to the kids, when we all started having kids, it's the little people whose life was down here at the parties. By God, that's what they are too. I mean, especially in some big social scene where the kids of about 5 or 6 different sets of people. Lots of people there. And there's a little life going on, running, darting through everything, eating all the cake. You know. And if you listen to them closely, they're playing horrifying war games and the Mau Mau and the Kill and the space and the Star Wars and Impact and stuff. And there's, you know, it's wonderful. And you just kick them in their ass and put them to bed. But I thought, well, now, if you're writing a letter to someone, and you say, dear sir, dear madam, dear Will, dear Elio, dear Effie, dear Ron, you know, dear Mr. and Mrs. North and South America and all the ships at sea. Well, there must be more forms than that. I wrote this poem called Salutation. It's a beginning, it's a form of, it's a sort of very friendly, it's an intimate form of salutation in a letter. Listen, you cheap little liar. I mean, if your message to someone starts off like that, it's obviously someone you're on very intimate terms with. Like your best friend of 24 years who suddenly, you realize suddenly just pisses you off. And this poem is a little obscure, but I like to read it because it's direct feeling, but it's what it's really about is that well, something that, you know, if someone says, well, if someone thinks, well, this happened and that happened, and that wasn't too good an idea, and this wasn't too good of an idea, so I can take that thing that happened there and this that happened here and put them there and have this happen with these two things together, then everything will be fine, but everything will not be fine. It will just be a third thing that happened. And they will still have to pay, those bastards, if they're the ones that made the first two happen, especially. But even more so if they're not the ones that first two happened, but decided to step into the damned war. And if you step into a scene between any peoples and say, hi, you know, folks, let's break this up. Wow, you know, a brick is going to hit you right in the head. And it's like saying, yes, I'd like to talk to you people about World War III. Bam! You're dead. Because World War III has been going on for 16 years and you haven't noticed, you know. And it's walk softly and do not carry a big stick either. Because soon you come down the corner with a big stick. What if they kill guys around this corner if they have big sticks? You just go around the corner, anybody says anything, you say, hi, dog. You just keep going. You say, excuse me, as my father said, you just say, you know, you say, I'm sorry, I was just waiting for the bus. You're standing in front of the speakeasy, the cops are pouring in the doors and, you know, and the windows, and you just came out the back window, you know, and you're standing in the corner, and the cops say, what are you doing here? And say, well, I was waiting for the number 42 bus. It goes around the corner and the last stop out of the cemetery line. This is called Without Scruple. The wicked will tremble, the food will rejoice, when he and I grow young again for an hour or two on 2nd Avenue at 10th, about 35 days from now, although that will not get it, and that will not be that. This is a nice one. This is called Ass Face. This is the only language you understand, ass face. You can see that I'm very